Welcome to Hear From Where, a podcast about the journeys that shape us. I'm your host, Chef Andrew Garrett, and each week I'll sit down with incredible individuals who've carved their own paths in health, nutrition, entrepreneurship, sports, and beyond. This is where we dive deep into the stories of determination, resilience, and passion, the moments that brought them here, from where they started. Whether you're looking for inspiration, a spark to start your own journey, or just love hearing amazing stories, then you're in the right place. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's explore what it really takes to follow your dreams. Hello, and welcome back to Hear From Where. I'm your host, Chef Andrew Garrett. This is episode 8, featuring my good friend, Marissa Jensen, who is a firefighter over at Hillsboro Fire and Rescue. Hello, thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, for everybody that doesn't know you, what's your story? Yeah, and that I like asking that like really basic, vague question of like, oh, what's your story? Because it prompts you to get into it. Like okay, I'll make this easy on you. And I'm gonna tell you the things that I admire about your journey, and you can build from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, who doesn't like a little admiration?
Yeah.
I feel you. So as I said, Marissa's a good friend of mine. I've been fortunate enough to watch her journey for the better part of, almost a decade now. And Marissa is one of those people that when she puts her mind to something, has a goal, she absolutely crushes it, sets no limits for herself, and really pushes through to reach the ultimate ideal for her life. Beyond that, she's a fantastic partner to a good friend of mine, Nate. We'd be terribly not good to not mention Nate. He'd get mad. But she's also one of those people that has absolute integrity. She doesn't lie. She doesn't fill up her Instagram feed with bullshit. If she says she's going to do something, she actually does it. And I think that those are qualities in people that are rare to find today. I've been fortunate enough again to watch your journey to becoming a firefighter in the world and really loving your career path and what you're doing. And I think that that's important. Like, where did that start for you?
Yeah. Well, thank you for all of that. That means a lot to hear. So I have actually wanted to be a firefighter my whole life. Like, I remember being in maybe like kindergarten or first grade when I was still living in Utah, and the local fire department came into our classroom to do like a kind of show and tell thing where, I've now done it as a career firefighter, where we go in to the classroom and we have all of our PPE on and we have a mask on and we'll breathe air so that kids can see what we look like and also hear what we sound like, so that if there's an emergency situation and they're hiding somewhere, they know that like we're a safe person to come to if we're trying to find them in a house fire. And that stuck with me as a kid. Like, I thought that was the coolest thing. And then fast forward, my mom lived in Troutdale, and she lived right down the road from Gresham Fire. And anytime we were there, if I could hear the fire engine driving down the road, I would like run outside and try to like wave at them or get them to like, use a siren or whatever. And it's just something that I've always really admired. It's been something that I've always been really fascinated by as a younger kid. And then, um, like, actually 9/11 was a really like interesting moment for me, where like I remember watching the towers fall, and I remember seeing everyone running away and like not fully being able to grasp it. I don't know how old I was. I was in junior high when that happened. But instead of focusing on like the terror of people running out, I was watching the people running in to save other people. And I just thought that was amazing. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I feel like I can do that, you know? And so I don't know. Then, in high school, I went to an art school. I've never been athletic. I was not an athletic child. I played soccer, in elementary school, but like I got a participation award for that. So in high school, I liked to party a little bit more than, your average kid. And I just didn't have like a lot of ambition after I got out of high school. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. Um, and I actually started welding. So in high school, I started for my senior project. Because I went to an art school, you had to make like an art thing that goes with your what is it called? Your senior thesis or whatever. So you have to do like the paperwork version and then you do an artwork version to go with it. And I was always like a visual artist, but it's because I didn't really know what else I was. Like I wasn't in theater, I wasn't, in music or anything. So I was like, I'm a visual artist. But I didn't love painting. I didn't love drawing. I'm too critical of myself. So I feel like I'm like kind of decent at it, but I'm too critical. And so it was hard for me. Um, and in for my senior project, I was like, I want to learn how to weld. I want to learn how to make a sculpture. I don't know, like I'm gonna do that. And so I got hooked up with uh, the man Mike Surrey, who is now my mentor. I've worked with him, since my high school year, basically off and on. Um, and he taught me how to blacksmith and how to weld and how to do metal fabrication. And that kind of took my life down a different path. Because I loved that. Like I love being able to manipulate metal with heat and take something that you can't bend with your hands and then be able to bend it easily with tools, not your hands because it's hot. Um, and so, I just kind of like put that firefighting thing kind of just down in the bucket of like, that's a thing I would have loved to do, but you know, I don't know, it's not for me. I'm not athletic, whatever. I had a lot of doubts about that in my early years. Um, and then let's see, when I was 23 ish, somewhere around there, I actually got sober. And when I first got sober, it was trying to figure out like who I am and what I want to do and how to like exist in the world without being like the party kid because I was just always like the party girl. Um, and so again, I remember like opening up my laptop and Googling like how to become a firefighter. Um, but the steps feel really overwhelming and you have to be very physically fit, which I was not. Um, and so I just remember closing it and just being like, you know what, it's fine. Like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I had a pretty cool job working for Michael Curry Design. Um, Actually, I got that job later that year, but whatever. I was in the metal path, and uh, I remember a few years later, like I was talking to a friend or a coworker and was just like, oh, yeah, man, I would love to be a firefighter. And he told me, which I know like he didn't mean it in this way, but he was like, wow, that's like an adrenaline rush. Like, I don't think you're cut out for that or something. Like, he said something where it was just like, I was like, oh, damn, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, it just kind of fed into those insecurities that I already had about myself. And so I was like, yep, just going to keep shoving that down. Like, it's not a thing. I'm on this path. It's fine. Um, and I, again, just kind of kept excelling in metal fabrication. I got a job here in Portland with a company called Axiom Custom Products. And that was the first time I transitioned off the fabrication floor and into like more of a management role. Um, and I was really good at that. I was really good at working with clients. I'm really good at working with engineers and GCs and like figuring out what needs to happen. And so I excelled at that place. And I ended up being there for 8 years by the time I left, and just kind of worked my way up through the ranks with them. Um, and then during the pandemic, um, everything shut down, obviously. Our industry, because we were building stuff for retailers, for like Nike and Adidas and the North Face, like all the retailers, we built their retail fixtures for their like rollouts and activations. And when the pandemic hit and no one was spending money on retail because you can't go shopping, it felt like we were in trouble as a company. And I remember I was sitting at my friend Molly's house on her front porch. We were all social distancing, like on one corner or whatever, drinking our little coffees. And we were just kind of talking about what we would do if the industry fell, like what's our next steps. And um, I remember just saying kind of offhand, like, oh, in another life, I would have been a firefighter. I've always wanted to. And my friend Molly, I swear I owe so much to her because this changed everything for me. But she just looked at me like dead ass in my eyes and was like, what's wrong with your life right now? And I was like, well, damn, I don't know. Like, like I feel like that just like gave me that permission to just go try. And that literally was the catalyst that I needed. And I took that moment. She actually knew someone who was a firefighter at Portland Fire. So she connected me with her. Because at this point, now this is 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. I'm in my 30s. I am athletic by this point. I had started boxing, about 7 years prior. So I started boxing, like I'm more athletic. I already have these kind of like drives and ambitions. But I'm in my 30s and like I'm not right out of high school. And also I'm still a female that's never going to change. And so there's just like all of these insecurities of like, well, maybe I missed my opportunity. Maybe I can't do it. Um, and my friend Molly connected me with this woman named Emily who had basically gone through the whole process just a few years prior and had the same thing. Like she was in her 30s and is obviously a female and, is also athletic in her own way. And so I connected with her and she helped me lay out all of the steps because there's so many things that you have to do. It's not like you just walk in and apply and hopefully you get picked up. Like there's just a lot that you have to do. So she helped kind of paint that picture for me, and that gave me like the roadmap that I needed. Um, and so I immediately started looking for departments to volunteer with because I was like, if I'm going to change my whole life, I would like to know that it is something that I actually want to do, not something that I've just idolized my whole life. Like I need to know the realities of the job. So I started volunteering with Estacada Fire. I also volunteered with a company called TIP, which is the Traumatic Intervention Program here in Portland. And they basically go on call anytime there's been some sort of like trauma or death, and where first responders go in to help mitigate the medical emergency, TIP goes in to help mitigate the emotional emergency for the people who are like the bystanders and the survivors. And I wanted to work with them to gain all of those skills and like have that like um, those like tools in my toolbox to be able to have that empathy on scenes and like understand what it's like for the survivors when there is a medical emergency or a death that happens. um, I also wanted to know if I could be around a dead person. I didn't know that. There's not a lot of opportunities in the world where you get to like be around dead people and like know if you're going to be okay with that. So um, I yeah, I thought that was really really great experience for me. It gave me a lot of tools. I'm already a very like empathetic person, but I feel like it gave me the tools that I would need to be a first responder and still be very aware of the people around the emergency, so that even though when I'm going in, it's like it's for a very specific job and very specific task, having that like awareness of the people around you and what they're perceiving is happening is, I think that's made me a better first responder because of that. Um, and yeah, so I started doing all of that and then just started like clicking down the list. Like, you gotta go get your EMT. So you gotta like start in school. And, it's like at that point when I started my EMT program, I'd been volunteering with Estacada for about a year. I had been volunteering with TIP for about a year. I was working full time still. And at my job, because it started picking up, I was the director of accounts, and I sometimes would work 60 plus hours a week while going to school, while getting my volunteer time in, while showing up Tuesday nights for drill. Like, um, it definitely required a lot of sacrifice, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without a supportive partner and family, because there were a lot of days, especially in the summer, when I was in either fire academy or in school, where all of my friends are going mountain biking and I really, really want to go and I just couldn't, because I'm studying for a test or whatever I'm doing. And so it was 3 solid years of just like heads down, nose to the grinding wheel, like no distractions, just grinding to try to get all of the stuff in place. And then um, when I got to a point where I was ready to start applying for departments, the advice that you kind of get in the world is apply everywhere and be grateful for what you get, because it's a very competitive market. It's hard to get a fire job. You're going up against a bunch of people for like maybe ten openings. And I threw that advice out the window because um, I wanted this job. I knew that this is the job that I'm meant to do. Like, I knew that this is like who I'm supposed to be, but I didn't need this job. I had a very good job at my previous employer. I made great pay there. I had great hours, even though sometimes I would work 60 plus hours. Like, I had a flexible schedule. I can make my own time. Some of those 60 hours were in the middle of the night because that's just what made sense for me. So, um, I really wanted a fire job, but I didn't need it. And so I was really specific about the departments that I wanted to apply for, because if I was going to do this big change, pull the rug out from underneath my like very cushy life, I wanted it to be for the department that I'm going to ultimately end up retiring from. I didn't want to, I don't want to bounce between departments. And honestly, I didn't want to do academy more than once. Like, I'm in my 30s. Academy is very hard. Um, and so I basically made a pros and cons list for every department within 2 hours driving, which includes all the city departments, all the rural departments, all the combination departments. Like, I am a freak, and I went through to figure out like where I really wanted to be and which departments really held the values that I held, and which departments were going to be able to offer me growth and offer me call volume, but still offer me like a smaller department feel where, I'm not just like a seat warmer. Like, I'm a part of a team, I'm a part of a community. And so I like kept whittling away all of these departments, and I narrowed it down to two, and Hillsboro was the top of my list. I technically applied for three departments. I applied for Olympia Fire as well, because they were earlier in their interview process, like their schedule that was posted. I knew that I would at least be able to have 2 interviews with them before I would start interviewing for either Hillsboro or my second choice. Um, and I wanted to get a practice run because I've never done an interview like that. I've never done, it's a panel interview, and you get your set list of questions and you have a set amount of time to answer them, and you're in front of a bunch of people and you're in a suit, and it's nerve-wracking, right? Especially because you want the job a lot and you care a lot. So um, I got a couple good practice rounds with Olympia. They ended up giving me a job offer, which was nice of them. And I said thank you, but no thank you. Um, and then Vancouver was my second choice, and then Hillsboro was my first choice. And so I went through the interview process with both of them. I ended up getting an offer at both of those departments as well. And um, I honestly got scared and almost said no because uh, everyone who tells you that same advice, like apply everywhere, be grateful for what you get, they also follow it up with like, it might take you 2 years to get picked up because it's competitive, because it's hard, because the interview process is hard. And so I wasn't ready. I was like mentally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start applying. And like maybe by the time I'm 35, I get picked up. And then to get the call from the chief who says, we would like you to work here. I was at my job out on the shop floor and just like, what? Like, I was not prepared. I was not prepared. And so I also was taking like a very big pay cut to do this because, again, like this is a job that I really wanted. But, I made very good money at my old job. So I was taking a significant pay cut. And conceptually, I knew that. But then when I had the offer in front of me and to see the difference in numbers, I was like, oh shit, like, can I do this? Like, is this just a pipe dream? And like, I can't actually afford to do this, And um, so even though Hillsboro was my number one choice, they called me and said, we want you to work here. Please say yes. Um, I waited until the very last day before they were going to give my spot away to tell them yes. Um, and the night before, again, I love my partner. He's such a supportive guy. I was having like a mild breakdown about it. And he was like, you know what? I've never watched you work this hard for anything, and I am not going to let you work this hard just to get the offer for you to say no when it's at your feet. Like, we are going to figure it out. The money doesn't matter. It's not like we live in a big bougie house or anything. Like, we'll make it work. And so that was the reassurance that I needed. And then I said yes. And now here we are. It's like almost 2 years later.
Wow, it's
That was,
already been 2 years.
it'll be 2 years in July. Yeah.
Holy sh! Wow, where does time go?
I have no idea. Also, I feel
Dude,
like that was a lot. So,
that was amazing. No, that's like that's perfect. I mean, if I were any other podcast, I'd be like, all right, cool. Well, thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you next time. But I'm not, and now that I've got the big picture in front of me,
yeah,
now we could really dive in because as much information as you just dropped, and how much emotion you had in that, there's still opportunities to
dive in.
elaborate
Oh, yeah, for sure.
on a lot of what was going on because in just hearing that story, you make it sound very easy. I'm sure there's a little bit of fear, there's some insecurity, but you make it sound like it was just like, yeah, I just did this. And I think that's what another really cool thing about you is like you have this humility about you that other people should really strive to reach, right? It's like you don't flaunt your abilities or your hard work over the top of people. You bring people along with you. And, no wonder you absolutely got a first choice with your first choice. Like, people see that. You just don't see it, right? So
Yeah, that imposter syndrome is real for sure.
It really is. Let's start with sobriety.
Okay.
So most people know that I'm sober as well, and that's how you and I first met. What was it like to go into sobriety? Like, I mean, I know what it was like for me with fear, tons of insecurity, not really knowing who the fuck I was or like what I was doing in my life. Um, what was it like for you?
Yeah, it was horrible. I, I was a party girl. It's not like I was doing anything super gnarly or anything, but I just wasn't doing anything else. Like I was just drinking, I was just partying, and I was working retail at that time. So all of my friends, we would all go to the bars afterwards. Like that was all I did. And um, I remember waking up one morning um, and having my moment of clarity where I just looked around and I was in this like shitty one bedroom apartment that I was living at by myself, but my closet was full of boxes that I had never unpacked. I was literally laying on a mattress with no sheets on it. Um, there was some red vomit on the carpet in the hallway from the night that I drank way too many cherry bombs and just like projectile vomited in my room and like cleaned it up, but not really, I guess, because it was stained, and I just looked around and was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, I knew in that moment, like deep in my heart, that like I was meant for more than that. And I don't know what caused that. I don't know what caused me to think that, but I was just like, if I keep doing what I'm doing, not only am I going to die, but I'm doing myself a disservice. Like, I am meant for more in this world. And so I called my mom um, and was like, I have to get out of here. Like, I have to do something different. And she opened up her home to me. And so I feel like I could have this wrong, but I feel like it was like that week. Like I moved in with my mom. I quit my job. I effectively lost all of my friends because all of my friends turns out they were drinking buddies. They're not the people who are there for you when shit gets real. They're there for you when it's fun. Um, and I was 20, 22, 23, somewhere in there. So I'm young, and it was terrifying. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to be, or how to do any of it. Um, so I quit my job, moved in with my mom, um, did some 12 step and registered for school. So I started going back to school and was just like, I don't know. I don't know what I want, but like this seems like the right thing to do. Like I have this opportunity where, my mom is helping me like get back on my feet. So I guess I'll go to school. And I ended up picking up another retail job in Vancouver to like help, pay for fuel and whatever in my car. Um, and then yeah, just had to like start navigating what it's like to be a human that doesn't just live in a bar or live in a bottle and doesn't run when things get hard, and learn how to process all of those emotions and feelings that come up, and learn how to process the fact that like, wow, all your friends that you thought were like your best friends like don't give a shit about you actually, like it was a lot to navigate. And I feel really grateful because I had a really good support system. My folks were there for me. My friends that were there for me, like, man, those are the OGs, those are the ones who like have stuck it through thick and thin from the beginning. And ironically, they're the ones that I had kind of abandoned when I was like deep into my addiction. So for those people to come back and be like, I'm here for you, I support you, like, let's just do some cool shit in the world together. Like, um, that was really like humbling to realize like, what true friendship is, and to like learn that, and also to learn how to accept that and accept that love from people. Um, so it was a lot, yeah. And I was like a squirrely little mess for probably 2 years, just trying to like figure out how to exist. I also met Nate in my first year of sobriety, which is like, whatever.
I'm not
People
gonna
might,
not gonna comment on that
yeah,
then.
people
Okay.
gonna have opinions about that. Um, but man, like that was revolutionary for me because I um I learned what it's like to be in a relationship with someone who wants to be in a relationship with you, not because
Mm.
you're partying, not because you're, a fun, loud party girl or whatever, and like we get drunk together. Like I remember the first time we went out, we stayed up all night talking, and I had this moment where I was like, wow, this guy is like interested in me. Like I'm not a sloppy mess right now and he's still talking to me. Like that's wild. So, I feel really grateful for that. And what I am very grateful for too is that like we have learned how to like grow and develop alongside each other, and let both of us like he gave me a lot of space to learn who I was, especially in those early years. But even now, like I feel like we've grown into these different people, but we've like stayed a really strong relationship through that whole thing. So, um, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but uh, sobriety was hard,
Yeah,
but it gets easier.
yeah. Well, that's the whole thing, right? It's like all these things that we have perception around that is going to be like the hardest thing we're ever going to do. And uh, I don't know. For me, it really like it took some really deep, like dark soul shit to like really open my eyes and be like, oh my god. But you nailed it with it making that choice to like knowing that you are meant for something greater. And I think that that's what a lot of people really miss the opportunity, even not folks that are experiencing sobriety or life in general, is like we're here for a purpose, and our purpose is so much greater than we ever give ourselves credit for.
Absolutely.
And hearing someone else say that is such a powerful thing. um, i I looking at what sobriety does for people in their lives beyond just kind of giving us new opportunities, it just clears out so much shit. And like it's ugly, it's gross, it's disgusting. We have to go and like look internally at all these things that our insecurities tell us are just the worst things ever. And then we do that work, and then we find that light, and people are like, oh yeah, hey, good to see you again, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah.
Like, and I love that you hit on those friends that were real friends, the OGs. Because those are the people that you'll have in the rest of your life. They
Yeah.
weren't those people that for me, I used to just compare myself and like, oh, I'm not as bad as Bobby over there, like,
Yeah.
I have a job, and like, but those weren't real friends, those were just excuses.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in all this, and I'm going to go ahead and tie this all together, is you're getting sober, you're realizing that you're meant for more, you realize you're not chasing the passion that you really want to chase, and you're going to give it a shot. Along that line, you decided that fitness was something that you wanted to get involved with. Where did fitness really start for you?
Yeah. Great question. I was 2 years sober, one to 2 years sober, somewhere in there, and I wanted to do a fighting sport. I needed, like, it was a part of like I think my processing. Like I told you, I was a squirrely mess for a couple years. Like just learning how to like handle the emotion that I have and how to channel that into something productive. And I really knew that I needed to have like a physical outlet for that. And so I decided I wanted to learn a fighting sport, and I tried a bunch of them. Um, I let's see, I tried Aikido first, which is like very like tame, it's more about self-defense. That wasn't really what I wanted. I tried jujitsu. I didn't really love that. I got paired up with just like it wasn't a great first experience. Let's just say that. So I didn't love that. I tried Krav Maga. I tried Muay Thai. I tried all of these different sports. And every time I would go in and I would like, sign up for the week free or whatever and take a bunch of classes, like it just wasn't like hitting that like thing that I needed. And then I walked into a boxing gym in the basement of a building and it smelled like shit, but there's like all the bags hanging up and just I was like, "Oh fuck, this is it." Like I'm in. So, um and I was in, dude. I was all in. Like I was obsessed. Like it was everything that I wanted. And I told them from day one, I was like, you know what? Like I've never done this. I have never super been physically fit or athletic. Um, but I want to be all in. And honestly, I would love to train and see if I could do a fight. Like, let's make that a goal. And so I got paired up with a coach my first week and started doing like one on ones. I was doing all the classes. Like, I was in. I loved it. I love boxing. Love, still love. And that was it. Like, that was like really the catalyst. And then we were probably about 6 months out. We had a fight kind of like on the horizons where we're like, okay, this is going to be the time. We're going to work really hard up to this point. Like we're feeling ready. Um, and then my coach up and moved to fucking Florida. And I was like, well, shit, dude. Like, I'm not going to do this without you. And I don't know how to do it without you because he was like, he, he was my only coach I'd ever known. And so I kind of quit boxing for a little bit because I felt like lost. I was like listless without him. But I had kept up running because running by far was my least favorite thing that I've ever had to like learn how to be good at because running fucking sucks when you don't run. Like it sucks. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to keep up my cardio because I had finally gotten to this place where I could like run for, a handful of miles without feeling like I was absolutely dying. And so I was like, I don't ever want to lose that. Like, I don't ever want to lose that because I don't ever want to have to get that back. Um, and so I started running and then I like learned to love running and started finding those like running highs. And so I started signing up for races and had like a little running community and a crew. Um, and I was still like kind of boxing in an intermittently, but I was like really just focused on running for a couple years there. And then let's see, I think pandemic happened, gyms closed, and then I started boxing again once the gym started opening again because it's always been that thing that I like come back to where I'm like, wow, like I miss it. Like I need that back in my life. And so I'd been boxing again, got picked up by the team, started training with the team. Kind of same story, like really getting excited about potentially training for a fight. Um, and then something happened that my coach left that gym again. And so like I feel like I've always gotten to like this precipice of like, okay, we're like gonna get there. And then like something happens. Um, oh, I broke my wrist. That also
Oh,
happened.
yeah. Okay.
So this was 2023. I'd been working with a coach for a while. We were going to have a fight scheduled in July. It was July 4th weekend. I had accepted my position at Hillsboro Fire and I was going to start July 25th. So I was like, this is going to be perfect. I'm going to be in peak shape because I'm going to be in fighting shape. We'll go fight in Vegas and then I'll come back, have a couple weeks to just like get ready for academy. And then I'm just going to like go crush it. And then I broke my fucking wrist in April, I think.
Yeah, how'd you break your wrist?
On a heavy bag. Yeah, just doing dumb shit, hitting wrong. I don't
Oh,
know, like, so they actually never scanned it, which was also weird, but I was in a brace into academy. Like, I started academy and just like took my brace off and went in so no one knew that my wrist was fucked up. And then I would go home and ice that shit and put my brace back on. Um, so yeah, to circle back, like fitness really started for me through boxing and like through I feel like that like empowerment that it gave me and that that like high that it gave me also like learning how to like chase that like addictive personality that I have, but channeling it in something that's really productive and healthy for me. That was really crucial to like really carving out who I am. Um, and then, yeah, it's ebbed and flowed. Like, I miss boxing still to this day. Now that my wrist is finally, like, a year and a half later, feeling better, I've started dabbling a little bit more, but I don't know if it's going to be something that I do for a fight. Like, I would love that to happen, but I also have shifted my priorities and I do a lot of strength training. I do a lot of like functional fitness for my job and I haven't quite figured out if I'm able to carve out the time that I need to dedicate to boxing for a fight while doing all of the other stuff that I do on top of the physical demands of my job. So TBD, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I hope that it continues because I would love to come watch you kick someone's ass.
I
Just
would
because
love that too.
I know what a badass you are. For everybody that's listening, you have said the word sacrifice twice, but you have described sacrifice multiple times throughout this conversation. What what is it that sacrifice really means to you in the context of making those workouts happen, making your career path happen? Like what does it look like for someone on the outside that doesn't have they don't know where to start with, like, how do I sacrifice, right? Because I think that word gets thrown around a lot in social media and across the board. It's like, oh, you got to sacrifice. Well, okay, yeah, okay, but what does sacrifice mean? Like, what did that look like for you? What was the sacrifice for you?
Man, it was a lot. Um, yeah, so for me, like once I had that goal in mind and I had a roadmap to get there was nothing I was willing to let get in the way of letting me accomplish that goal. And that means that you sacrifice literally everything else. That means I'm not going to meet up with friends. I'm not going out to go ride my bike. I'm not, whatever. I'm like, I went to work. I came home. I studied. I would go to my volunteer department to make sure that I was hitting those hours, then I would study there. Like I lived, ate, and breathed everything that I needed to for my goal, and that was it. And did it put a strain on my relationship? Probably. Did it put a strain on my relationship with my friends and my families? Totally. But they all knew what I was doing. They knew what the purpose was. They knew that like this was what it took to get to where I needed to be. And like just I'm so forever thankful for them for like allowing me that space so I can say no, I can't go and not feel guilty about it. But it meant that I was waking up at 4:30 every morning to go work out, whether that was to go to the boxing gym for team training or to go to the normal gym for weightlifting or to go on a run. Like I was waking up at 4:30 because I had to have time to work out, time to shower, and then I have to get to work, right? Then you show up at work and you work a normal ass day and you do normal work stuff. And then I would leave and I would either go straight to the department, I would go straight to school, or I'd go straight home. And um, for me, prioritizing fitness was important because I knew that I needed it, obviously, for what my goal, but I also need it just to be like a functional human in the world. Like it does help keep me grounded in the world. Because I have ADHD, because I have an addictive personality, like I need that thing to like keep me grounded. And I learned very early on that if I didn't sacrifice my mornings to that gym time, um, I would never get it done because the evenings don't belong to me. They didn't belong to me. The evenings belonged to meetings running long, or you have to get dinner, or like something comes up, or you got to go to the grocery store, or whatever the fuck you have to do. Like the evenings don't belong to me. They were not my time. And so if I wanted time for myself, I had to make that time. And the only time that I had to do it was by waking up at 4:30 in the morning. So um, I think that is a sacrifice that people like conceptually understand, but like don't know how to do. You know, they don't know how to execute on that. And it's because it sucks. But like eventually it gets easier. You get your routine. For me, I would like have my breakfast already pre-portioned and ready to go. I'd have it packed so that I could like eat a snack on the way to the gym, work out, and then get to work and have my normal breakfast. Like I would have that packed. I had to just like keep everything like pretty regimented, and that's what allowed me to stay consistent with it. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, sacrifice really is like if you have that goal you, and you are truly not willing to let anything get in the way, like you do have to sacrifice everything around that. Um, and it's totally easier to say than do. Like putting that into practice is really hard, especially when it's over multiple years. You know, like it was like a solid 3-year process for me just to get to the point where I was ready to be hired. And then once you're hired, like your first year in the fire service, you have academy and then you're on probation. And let me tell you, it's a fucking hard year. And so even though everyone's like, "Yeah, you finally did it," it's like, nope, I'm just at the beginning. Like this is about to be like 3 million times harder than what it ever has been. But the thing that academy and probation really like gifts you is uh, that was the only thing I had to focus on. So even though it was so hard, it was by far the by far the hardest thing I've ever had to do, like emotionally, physically, mentally. Like that first year is hard, but it was the only thing I had to focus on because I had already done all of the things prior to that to get me to that point. And so, because I had come from this place where I was juggling a job and volunteering 2 different places and, you know, your partnership and your relationships and all the things, um, once I was there, it was like, well, shit, like, yeah, this is hard, but like, I'm not doing 30 other things on top of it. Like, I get to dedicate all of my time to this. So that was like a huge gift, honestly, for me. Which I'm sure people will think I'm insane for saying, but like, yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. You it could not have been explained any better. I absolutely love that. What was it like to establish those boundaries with friends and family where you're like, because I think that a lot of people struggle with the idea of saying no, right? Like it is so hard to say no to something, especially when it comes to family or friends. Like, oh, yeah, we're going to the beach. Like, come on, let's go. Like, oh, we're going to this concert tonight. Or oh, hey, it's your sister's birthday. Like, let's, you got to come over and we got to do this. Like, I don't necessarily believe that everybody has like super supportive family, and it sounds like you have an amazing support system. What was it like to kind of establish those boundaries? Like, just what did it look like as far as those conversations went?
Yeah, for me, I honestly, I mean, you hit it on the head. Like, I have an amazing support system, and once people understood what I was doing and what my goals were, they really did give me that space. Um, but I still asked them to invite me. Like there would be the text threads where it's like, after you say no to the fourth thing, eventually people are just going to stop asking you. And what I would tell all of my friends and my family is like, please keep inviting me because I do need this connection. I do need to know that you guys are still there and you're still with me and you still want to be around me. But like, thank you for giving me the space to keep telling you no. Because eventually I'll be able to say yes. And on those occasional nights where like I can break away, because you do have to carve out time for yourself. You can't be in the grind for 3 solid years, without carving out some time for yourself to just like remember who you are and spend time with the people that you love. And so on those nights that I could get out, like those really like filled my cup again to where I could be like, okay, great, like I'm good for another couple weeks, like I can get back into the grind. Um, but yeah, I remember thinking that it was weird, that my friends probably thought I was weird, where I was like, please keep inviting me. Um, but it really did mean a lot to me because even though it was just that like little touch of a reach out and a connection, it was like I needed that to remember that like the world is still around me. It's not all just about this like schoolwork that I'm doing or whatever. Um, and again, like everyone was really great about that and they were really understanding. And anytime I did see them, like I just feel like I was just uplifted by all of my friends and family where they were like so stoked for what I was doing and so understanding and so supportive that again, every time I saw them, it just kind of it refilled my cup and kind of got me through for sure.
That is such a beautiful piece of advice. I have never thought of that ever, and I have often gotten upset or resentful because people stopped inviting me places when I'm in these, like when I'm in this, right?
Hmm.
But I had never once stopped to think like, hey, please just keep inviting me because there might be that one day.
Yeah.
And there would be those one days where I would be like, oh man, I have time, and then I would go on Instagram and I would see my friends doing something cool. And I was like, fuck, I wish they would have just invited me. But people don't
Yeah.
know unless we give them that cue,
Exactly.
right?
And I feel like I actually got practice doing that through sobriety because I still like to go out to the bars with my friends. Like, I still want to go out and hang out with people. And when people first find out that you're sober, they're like, ooh, weird. Like, ooh, what do I do? And so you don't get those invites. Um, and so I just got really comfortable being like, hey guys, like, I still want to come. Like, I can still hang out. Like, honestly, I'm the one that's probably gonna start all of the shenanigans. I'm gonna let you guys all get drunk, and then I'm gonna start some shit, and then I'm gonna Irish goodbye. But yeah, I feel like I had to get comfortable in that because again, I got sober when I was so young. It like I didn't want to miss out on everything just because I wasn't drinking. So
Well, that's
I
what the whole thing too, right? Is like we don't quit drinking to stop living. We quit drinking to start
exactly,
living.
exactly,
And I think you and I, similarly, there's been a lot of instances where I meet new people through a other friend, and we're out somewhere, and I'm the loudest, most obnoxious person there, completely sober, and like these people, like the look on their face when they find out that I'm sober is priceless, and
yeah,
it encourages the inner child in me to like even act out further.
yeah,
Uh, but it is, be, choosing sobriety is not a death sentence. Like choosing sobriety is a brand new set of glasses. It's a beautiful life ahead of us.
yeah, absolutely.
What so now so we you've accomplished the things. Like you've gotten there. Now the real work starts. What are you currently working towards right now? Like what are your goals, and what does that look like for you?
Yeah. I know it's weird. Like I've been working so long for this like pinnacle moment to happen and now it's here. I'm off probation. I now have a rookie that is on my crew, working where I'm now part of like a training crew. Um, it's kind of crazy. I just want to be good at my job. Like I really just want to like be dialed in as a firefighter, and um, I want everyone on the department to know that like if I'm on shift with them, I got their back. Like they can trust me 100%. I can do every aspect of the job. Like I just want them to know that. And I know they know that. I know that I've proven myself, but I don't want to rest on those laurels. So I just want to like work hard every day to be really good at my job. And that requires me to be at a level of fitness that I've never been at before. Like I'm currently the strongest I've ever been. I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in. And I know I can keep pushing. I know that there's more. I have more in my body to give. And so, I'm working with a strength coach and really trying to like dial that in. I'm still working on cardio, like I'm trying to push myself into this space physically where it's just going to make my job easier. Like I never want my physical fitness to be the thing that holds me back at my job. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying. It's like a very nebulous goal now where it's just like the peak of fitness and, the peak of firefighting, like whatever the fuck that means. But that's where I'm at right now. Like I don't have this like big reaching goal that I'm like currently trudging towards. It's really just like not resting on my laurels, like really like not getting comfortable, trying to keep that edge and keep letting that like keep my drive because there are people in the world who hit that like that goal and then they're like, okay, cool, well, I got there, but like I'm looking at this as a 25-year career. Like for me, I'm gonna be old because I started in my 30s, and so I need to keep my body at a level so that it can maintain the stress of the job. But that's also like there's a lot of like emotional stress of the job as well. And so like just giving me those tools to learn how to navigate those situations, it's like everything's just very nebulous right now, but it's just that like that goal of like that 1% better every day, I guess.
I love that. 1% better every day. That's a great place to let this wind up. Marissa, I can't believe it's been an hour. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me, with the listeners. There is so much inside of this, and I look forward to actually going back and listening back through this again. I look forward to seeing you guys here in the near future. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us. I don't know, are you a public profile on Instagram or anywhere?
Nope. Private.
Okay, perfect. Keep it that way.
Yep.
That's perfect. Alrighty, Marissa, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing all the growth and all the cool shit that you do in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You betcha, dude.
All right. Bye.
That's it for this episode of Here From Where. Thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. A huge thanks to Justin Pitaleski for the music and sound production, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep moving forward. All the best, and happy cooking.